Fighting back against social justice creep on campus, next on Campus Roundup. Hello, I'm Dr. Duke, and this is the Campus Roundup at the College Fix. Our top story segment today focuses on stopping the insanity at the University of Texas. To talk more about this, we are joined by Lexi Lonis, a student at Pennsylvania State University of Altoona and a journalist for the College Fix. Lexi, the article you wrote is really, really interesting. We have an alumnus at the University of Texas, the Longhorns, who's gotten kind of fed up. Talk about his program here.
Okay, so Mark Pulliam started the group about two weeks ago because he just said he was fed up with all the leftist bias at the campus, and he regularly reads the school paper, and he just feels like he felt like a lot of alumni did know what was going on at the school. It felt like if they did, they would be fed up too, and he wanted to start some change. So he started a Facebook page called "Stop the Insanity at UT," and basically what he does is he posts articles and he posts stuff about leftist bias and what's going on at the school.
Yeah, that's a really interesting story. Mark Pulliam is a graduate of the law school at the University of Texas, so he's a lawyer, I assume trained to think critically, and he's a little bit tired of the fact that he loves the University of Texas at Austin, but man, the leftist bias is really smothering. So this Facebook site that he's put together, this Facebook page, it has the possibility to really get big. And I know in researching the story, you actually reached out to another expert, Jay Shalin at the James G. Martin Center. It's a wonderful conservative website, very much like the College Fix, devoted to kind of exposing and trying to help correct campus bias, leftist campus bias. Talk a little bit about what Jay Shalin at the Martin Center had to say about the website and Mark Pulliam.
So Jay Shalin, he actually wrote an article about this before, just like how to fix the leftist bias and how to fight against it. One of his things was he talked about alumni. One of the big tickets to kind of help reform and change, because there hasn't been a lot of pushback on the left on the campuses, and so he said that it's very great that Mark started this up, and that he is pulling all the alumni together in one spot, because Jay said that was Jay said that was one of the big problems is you have to get the alumni all together and get them to listen, because their donations, their opinions is what can make change. So he found this group to be really good. He found it to be a great first step in actually trying to get real change done on campuses.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I think as somebody who's in the classroom every day, kids really suffer, education suffers, and ultimately, as we've seen this week, the country suffers if one-sided monolithic talk is all we get. Lexi Lonis, we are certainly appreciative of your article. Great job, and we know we'll be talking to you again soon. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Time now for Expert Talk, where we take an opportunity to seek out the opinions of educational specialists. I'm proud to be joined today by Mark Pulliam, a graduate of the University of Texas School of Law and the creator of a Facebook page, Stop the Insanity at UT, that seeks to monitor out-of-control social justice activism at the UT campus. Mr. Pulliam, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, talk a little bit, if you don't mind. This is a story dear to my heart as a professor myself. Talk a little bit about what's going on with social justice on the campus at the University of Texas at Austin.
Well, UT is like any major public university. It is infected by the latest intellectual fads and trends. But in the last 4 or 5 years, under the leadership of UT President Greg Fenves, it has taken a sharp turn to the left, and in my estimation, he's trying to rebrand the school as a burnt orange knockoff of his alma mater, where he used to teach, University of California at Berkeley. And this is deeply troubling to me and many other conservative Texans who attended and graduated from the University of Texas.
How did law schools, even before the takeover of humanities programs and undergraduate programs, law schools have been drifting really left for a long time. Where did that come from?
Well, I'm not a law professor. I'm a retired lawyer. I blog on some legal sites, Law and Liberty and elsewhere, that have mostly law professors blogging. I think law schools sort of were the tip of the spear when it came to the left's long march through the institutions. And a lot of the ideologies that we have seen in the law schools, critical legal studies, critical race theory, other forms of postmodern ideology, took root in the law schools. But the humanities and the liberal arts are soon behind it. And the universities, I think, if anything, are now more contaminated by these things because preferential admissions are more prevalent undergrad than in law school. And the diversity bureaucracies can become much more extensive at large public universities than they can in law schools. So, yes, some of the things are the same. We have a great deal of ideological imbalance at both the UT Law School. There's only one conservative law professor on a faculty of over 100 people, and he is 86 years old and on the verge of retirement. And so that is a greater imbalance than we see undergrad. But I think these larger problems are more pronounced at the University of Texas undergrad, and that's really the focus of my Facebook page.
Have you gotten, tell us a little bit about your Facebook page. We gave the title of it. Tell us about what you're trying to accomplish. You have created a website, I think, that is going to police this. Have you, not only what is that website about, but are you feeling any blowback or pushback from this?
I'm not getting any blowback. What I'm getting is an extraordinarily enthusiastic reception. I only set this thing up about 3 weeks ago, and now I have 650 followers. And the messages I'm getting from people from throughout the state are good for you. And also I'm getting some suggestions that why can't I do a similar page for the University of Houston or for Texas A&M, et cetera. And my response is, well, find a alumnus of those schools and get them to do the same thing. It's really pretty simple. So what I'm trying to do is focus public attention on what is going on at UT. And a lot of people who have graduated over the decades assume that things have stayed the same since they walked across the stage and got their diploma. And frankly, as long as the UT football team gets into a bowl game, they think everything is hunky-dory. But it's not. And all you have to do is look around. So my Facebook page is basically a place to post relevant items, some of which I've written, but some of which have come from other higher education-oriented sites like the College Fix, and to focus attention. And I think most people are horrified by what they see because it is ludicrous and it's almost comical. It would be comical if it weren't so tragic. And so my goal is to generate enough outrage and enough interest that collectively the dissatisfied alumni such as myself can contact our elected officials and demand that something be done to fix this.
Well, I think what you're doing is remarkable. There's been a lot of talk about how to fix universities, most of it centering on how to fix it from the inside out. And as you know, that's almost impossible given what you just listed. You've got a university president who's steeped in social justice ideology. You have a huge bureaucracy of social justice activists running the oversight of what goes on in faculty classrooms. You have university professors who are almost unilaterally liberal as well, progressive, and they're the ones deciding what gets taught in the classrooms. But what you're projecting here is, what if we got off campus and the vast alumni at places as big as University of Texas, they have a remarkable potential impact in terms of how they spend their money, how they donate back to the university, how they comment on what goes on at their own universities. And so this is a good way to go. And you're seeing a really remarkable response across the state of Texas so far.
Absolutely. And in Texas, unlike some states, we have a conservative Republican majority of voters. We have a Republican majority in both houses of the legislature. We have a Republican governor and lieutenant governor. In theory, the University of Texas is subject to governance by a board of regents appointed by the governor. And for whatever reason, this Board of Regents has gone rogue and lets the university administration do whatever it wants. So it's not acting in its proper oversight capacity. It's a rubber stamp. And ultimately, the governor is responsible for this. He appointed these people, and it could replace them in a heartbeat. So a lot of people don't understand. They assume that, well, since the University of Texas is located in Austin, and since Austin is a liberal city, therefore we should just acquiesce in the University of Texas being a progressive bastion. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. Texans own the university. The university belongs to them, not the liberal academics, not the liberals who live in Austin. It belongs to the state of Texas, and it is ultimately accountable to Texas voters.
Mark Pulliam, it's been a great pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thanks for having me, and congratulations on what you and the other people at College Fix are doing.
Thank you. You know, having spent the last 25 years securely ensconced in universities all across the country, one gets kind of acculturated to the idea, the false idea, that universities belong to faculty, radical faculty, administrators, or even students. It's refreshing to do an interview like this one with Mark Pulliam and to listen to the great work of our College Fix reporters, because the College Fix reminds us day in and day out that the universities belong to all of us. They are public institutions. They are the people's schools. And if we recognize that and don't surrender to the idea that what goes on college campuses, the ideology, the intolerance, the threats to our First and Second Amendment rights, when we recognize that those are things that we control, not they, and we speak out, what Mr. Pulliam's doing at the University of Texas, alumni actually calling attention to what's going on the campuses they have graduated from and that they still really care about. We can affect change in the universities. We've got great reporting from organizations like the College Fix. We've got alumni now starting to fight back a little bit. If we can publicize what's taking place on our university campuses, maybe we can make them less their university campuses. And that's the Final Fix. Be sure to stay up on all the latest news and information from the College Fix by joining us on all of our social media platforms. For the Campus Roundup, I'm Dr. Duke, and we will see you next time.